and the content isn't very different. You know, you can hear in the earlier audio NPP members clearly making statements to the effect that the IGP did not help their cause in Asin North and that he should immediately be removed. Those earlier audios are there for anybody who is minded to go and listen to. But this second audio, which confirms the earlier ones, is alarming because we have senior police officers at the center of this latest audio. Now, the fact that there are senior police officers involved in the latest audio is demonstrative of the fact that, you see, the NPP is bent on using the country's security apparatus to break the eight, to manipulate outcomes in the 2024 election so that they can continue to perpetuate their stay in power. Now, Senator, what does that mean? It simply means that if care is not taken in 2024, this country is likely to be plunged into chaos, because we are not too surprised that the NPP has over time demonstrated that they have the propensity to use violence to achieve their goals, objectives in election situations. We saw what happened in Tichima. People were killed. You know, people were shot at. And elsewhere, the NPP inflicted so much brutality, disrupted the elections, and paved the way for the NDC to pull out of that election and they claimed victory. Now, these are dark clouds gathering. Senior police officers calling for the removal of an IGP who is suspected, you know, not to have shown that he would do their bidding in an election situation, and so he must be removed and replaced with a more pliant IGP, you know, so that they can manipulate him. He would unleash attack dogs on the NDC and snatch the victory from our hands. Therein lies the danger. And as for me, I'm saying that if care is not taken, we are all in for trouble. So, the president, the ball is in his court. He must demonstrate to Ghanaians that he means well for them. Whether he likes it or not, in 2024, he will not run for election. A new face would represent the NPP in the election. And so, whatever legacy he wants to bequeath to the country, people are watching very closely, very closely. And I know, look, you don't underestimate the power of the people. Don't. Once the people make up their minds, you can do whatever you want to do, but at the end of the day, you would fail. So it behoves the president to immediately open an investigation into this matter. This is a criminal matter and should be treated as such. Yes, because clearly they want to subvert the will of the Ghanaian people in the upcoming 2024 election. The president must immediately step in, commission a probe. Whoever, is in that audio, the officer and the chief who is supposed to be a political godfather, they engaged in a criminal enterprise and must be treated as such. I expect that whoever that police officer is, first of all, the NIB, not even the police, because he's the police himself, and so if they ask the police to investigate him, it will look awkward. The NIB by now should be interrogating him. Yes.
So your preference is the National Investigations Bureau?
National Investigations Bureau, what used to be known as the BNI, Bureau of National Intelligence. BNI, Bureau of National Intelligence, right?
National Investigations, yes.
So by now they should be interrogating that particular officer. They should. I mean, it's very shameful. It is disgusting. I just can't imagine that the MPP has grown horns and thinks that look, they can subvert the will of the Ghanaian people. If this was what happened previously, they wouldn't be in power now. So I think people should we must speak out once and for all. In defense of our fourth Republican Constitution. And that is why I said yesterday that their acts are treasonable.
Ghana's goal.
Treasonable.
Treasonable.
That's the highest offense. What makes it treasonable?
Look, listen to the content very well. The people in that audio are simply saying that look, they must ensure that they have an IGP who would help them perpetuate their stay in power, regardless of whatever the outcome is. Once they have an IGP of their choice, an MPP IGP, they would ensure that when the NDC wins the 2024 election, they simply would use the state security apparatus to subvert the will of the people. That is treasonable. If that is not treasonable, what else would pass for treason? What else can pass for treason?
But your colleague in Parliament and the Minister for Interior thinks this should be ignored with the contempt it deserves because there's no plot to remove anybody. That's his response.
I made the point. It's simplistic to brush this very, very serious matter, under the carpet the way he wants to do it. But that is it's untenable to do that. Nobody intends to remove an IGP. That is what he says. There is no plot. But that is not what is my worry. My worry is that there are people with MPP leanings, roots, in our police service today who work in cahoots with MPP big wigs, okay, with the intention of undermining the sovereign will of the Ghanaian people to change the incompetent MPP government when the time comes for us to go to the polls in 2024. The fact that people have those thoughts and can meet and conspire. You see, what you see in the audio is people at a round table conspiring to undermine the sovereign will of the people. That is the real issue. As for the whether or not they're removing an IGP, it's not really the issue. So don't let us allow them to use this type of propaganda to drown the real issue at stake. The real issue at stake here is the integrity of the electioneering process, the election security management moving into 2024. Whether we can trust our state security apparatus. These are the real issues. So if the IGP were to resign today, okay, he wouldn't have been sacked. All right, he tenders in his resignation tomorrow because he feels uncomfortable about whatever is going on. That will still not solve the problem because it has now become very clear to us that plans are afoot to ensure that the election security in 2024 favors the MPP. So that they, in that those circumstances would be able to take the law into their hands, disrupt elections, snatch ballot boxes, kill, in order to secure victory. These are the real issues.
But
we need to dismiss what the Interior Minister said yesterday. Those assurances without a probe. I mean, first of all, how does he even know? He has not investigated them. So how does he know that they don't intend to remove the IGP? Because the message in that audio is very clear. So for him to say the government doesn't have plans, no. Where is that coming from?
But does this comment also not give you an idea how difficult it will be to convince this government to actually investigate such a matter? For example, there's a message coming from on my a comment on our Facebook feed currently from a Chedeje in the US, who is even asking Honorable James Agalga one which president to step in. Do you know your president? Is he not more diabolic than the person on the tape? So there's a sense in which people are feeling already that they won't do anything about it because it will favor them.
You see, Senator, I think that look, we without the president's intervention, you can't have any investigative mechanism set in motion to deal with this matter. We can't. You see, I have time with that number, and the NDC initiated something like that to have an independent police complaints commission in place. If we had such a body in place, they would have taken up this matter without further recourse to anybody. But unfortunately, we don't have such a system in place. The NDC initiated the move. We're at an advanced stage of setting up that type of independent complaints commission. The NPP came and turned their back. They are not interested in having such a commission in place. Now, without such a commission in place, the only other way to have this matter investigated is to get the CID to act. But the CID is an integral part of the police service. We are told that the person, one of the key figures in that audio, is a commissioner of police. A commissioner of police with links to the MPP. You think the CID would have the balls to investigate him? And so the way to go is for the president to set up either a commission, a ministerial committee made up of people of substance, statesmen, who cannot easily be manipulated. At least we saw some level of integrity displayed by the Emil Short Commission of Inquiry. They did a good job, but the only problem with the Emil Short Commission of Inquiry is that their findings were jettisoned. The president issued a white paper and refused to implement most of the key recommendations the Short Commission of Inquiry made. But as for the integrity of those who did the job, the independence they showed, you can take that away from them. You see, so you have no choice in this matter. The president is the chairman of the National Security Council, commander-in-chief, who is the principal guarantor of the country's security. So we're saying that so far as the content of the audio has something to do with our country's security and survival, the president is the one to act. He must remember that he took an oath. He took an oath. Remember, do you remember when, in the early 80s, during the revolution, at the peak of it, judges were murdered. At the time, we had the chairman of the PNDC. He was the head of state even though some of the elements who were implicated in the matter were functionaries of the government at the time, the president, the head of state, did not hesitate in commissioning a probe, and those who were found culpable were rounded up, tried, and executed. That is the type of leadership we expect the Kufado to show. If he doesn't do that, you go down in history as the worst president ever to have ruled this country, and that will be his legacy.
Yeah, because there are those who are also suggesting that the precedents have already been set in the case of Honorable Fosuampofo, who is currently before court for a leak tape. Investigations were done. He has been put before and has been standing trial for more than 4 years now. A court that is as simple as identifying whose voice is on that tape and then starting a prosecution. You believe that is treason. Do we need a committee to do that?
So I've made it clear that this matter is criminal. It borders on criminality. But you see, the matter is bigger than you think. All right? So, therefore, we need a probe. A full-blown probe would first of all come out with recommendations bordering on the mode of appointment of an Inspector General of Police that could lead to some reforms. The work of the committee or an inquiry into this matter could result in reforms. So maybe there is something wrong, problematic with the mode of appointment of an IGP. That is why people think that at any point in time, an IGP who demonstrates that is not pliant and would allow himself to be manipulated and just anyhow, who can start calling, agitating for the removal of such a person. Right? So the criminal investigations, possible prosecution, I mean, could go side by side. But we need to know who were the conspirators, who were involved in the tape. It's a larger issue than the prosecution. Prosecutions must go on, yes, but beyond prosecutions, we need to get to the bottom of the issue. How do we manage our election security? Okay, how do we manage that to ensure that the service personnel, the security personnel who are deployed for election security are objective and neutral? How do we ensure that there is neutrality on the part of our security services in election situations? Those matters cannot be resolved by prosecutions alone. You understand?
Yeah. But how far would you go to push for this kind of investigation, even when the state is perhaps not ready to do that? How is Honorable Agalga able to use his position as ranking member, his position as member of parliament to push it?
Brought to bear, and the pressure has started mounting. The campaign started yesterday, and so we expect you to collaborate with us, Senna. Use your medium to whip up public sentiment in support of such a probe. We would continue with the activism. We will talk. We did similar activism, and the result was that we had a commission of inquiry.
Radio Gold.
And so you and your colleagues in the media landscape, you have civil society groups. They must all add their voices to the calls for a probe and the prosecution of those involved in that case. They must do that because the president is a servant of the people. He is a servant of the people and must be responsive to the people. You see, now oftentimes, critical voices have been silenced, and so You don't hear people. We expect that the Christian Council should speak out. The Catholic Bishop Conference, the office of the Chief Imam, they should all speak out and demand for justice.
Before you go, can you identify some of the voices on the audio?
I don't want to preempt matters because I believe in fairness.
Oh, but you know some of the voices.
I hear there is a commissioner of police at the presidency. I don't know him. A very senior police officer of the rank of is it a commissioner or so? I don't know him. To be very honest with you. But from every indication, we are told he's a very senior officer at the office of the president, and so on and so forth. But that needs to be authenticated. You can't take anything for granted, especially when we are calling for criminal investigations and possible prosecution. So you want to be fair to people. Remember, we should be the last to point a few accusing fingers at the person because I'm a lawyer. But the right thing needs to be done, and whoever is established to have been involved, the voices can be authenticated. They must be dealt with.
Honorable, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
Honorable James Agalga is ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, and his position is that for those of you who are skeptical about the idea or the proposal that we need to get the president to set up or to push for an investigating agent urgently, because if the president says NIB investigate this matter, CID investigate